Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Pramila ji, will you do the Gita Dhyana shlokas?
Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Matye Mahabharatam Advaitam Varshanim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Amba Tvam Manusandhadhami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshanim Namostute Vyasa Vishal Buddhe Fullaravinda Yatapatra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prachvalito Jnanmayah Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vaitraikapanaya Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gita Duhe Namaha Sarvopanishado Ghavo Dogda Gopala Nandana Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdam Gita Mritam Mehet Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum Bhishma Drona Tata Jayatra Jala Gandharani Lotpala Shalya Grahavati Kripena Vahani Karanena Velakula Ashwathama Vikarna Gora Makara Duryodhana Vartani Sottirna Khalu Pandavairananadi Kaivartaka Keshavaha Parasharya Vachah Saroja Mamalam Geetartha Gandhotkatam Nana Kyanaka Kesaram Harikatha Sambodhana Bodhitam Loke Sajjana Shatpadai Reh Pepiyamanam Muda Bhuyad Bharat Pankajam Kalimal Pratvam Sinah Shreyase Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langyate Girim Yat Kripatam Ham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Yam Brahma Varunendra Rutra Marutah Stunvanti Divya Stavehe Vedeh Sangha Padakrama Parishadair Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavasthit Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam Na Viduh Sura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha.
We are doing the 9th chapter, and the 9th chapter we are talking of the secret learnings, right? The royal secret, Rajaguhya Vidya, right? So if we can start off, I think we were at verse number 4 or so. So if we can start from the beginning, let us chant that. Raghuji, if you are ready, from 1 to 4, if you can.
We had finished to 3 actually, 9.3.
Okay, so we can do the 3 shlokas, please.
Okay. It is Sri Navamodhyayaha.
Atha Sri
Navamodhyayaha. Sri Bhagavanuvāca.
No, then if you say the Navamodhyaya, then you have to give the name of the Udhyaya.
Okay.
Rajaguhya
Raja. This is the Rajaguhya.
Rajavidya.
Rajavidya Rajaguhya.
Yogaha.
Rajavidya Rajaguhya Yogaha.
Correct. And then you start. Sri Bhagavanuvāca.
Idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshya pravaksham yanasuyave. Jnanam vijnana sahitam yajñātvā mokṣyase shubhat.
Carry on.
Okay. Raja vidya raja guhyam pavitram idam uttamam pratyakshavagamam dharmyam susukham kartumavyayam ashraddhana purusha ashraddhana purusha dharmasyasya parantapa aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsara vartmani.
Very good. So basically here he's saying that firstly, it is important for you to attain this knowledge, because without this knowledge, you will have to keep coming back into this world. So, and what is this world that he's talking about? Or what is this knowledge that he's talking about? In verse 2, he says, Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam. So it is a king of sciences, but it is also a very profound secret, and we discussed that. It is a secret because we cannot identify with that in terms of our realization. So it remains something that we really don't understand, or we understand but we can't realize it. But yet it is something which is the most purifying, because it releases you from this bondage. So from here he moves on to verse number 4. Meena ji, you have to recite this 4 because ये आपका favorite verse है.
Maya tatmidam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina matasthani sarva bhutani na chaham teshvavasthitah. Sorry,
Maya tatamidam sarvam Maya tatamidam sarvam jagaddhavyakta murtina Maya tatamidam sarvam jagaddhavyakta murtina Matsthani sarva bhutani nachaham teshvavasthitah nachaham teshvavasthitah Matsthani sarva bhutani nachaham teshvavasthitah Maya tatamidam sarvam jagaddhavyakta murtina Matsthani sarva bhutani nachaham teshvavasthitah. Maya, by me, tatam, pervaded, spread, pervaded, idam, this, sarvam, entire, jagat. Jagat is the cosmic manifestation that we can perceive. Jayati, gacchati, tishtati. 3 things that it does. Right? It is born and it goes, but in between it stays. So therefore it is called Jagat, cosmic manifestation. Avyakta murtina, the unmanifested form. Avyakta murtina. Matsthani, in me. Mat, me. Sthani, to be situated, in me. Sarva bhutani, all things. Here 2 meanings can be there. All living things, or also all things, everything. All living things. Na, not, cha, and aham, I, teshu, in them. Teshu, avasthitaha, situated, dwelling in them. So what he is saying is, this entire cosmic manifestation called Jagat is pervaded by me, in my unmanifested form. And all the living beings, they dwell in me, I do not dwell in them. Now, this is very interesting to understand. See, when we try to understand the cosmic, what is called the samashti. Now, samashti is the large thing, the cosmic, macrocosmic. Very difficult for us to understand. So we have to understand it at a microcosmic, which is called, in the Gita language, it is called Vyashti. Vyashti. And good that you showed me your finger. What is the situation of the finger?
Yeah, it's much better. I'm hoping that they will remove the stitches on Tuesday. I was to
Okay.
travel to the US on Wednesday, last Wednesday, but I got bumped off because I did not know that my flight had 2 stops inside Europe on the way to US. And I did not know that if you have Indians are allowed 1 stop in Europe, but not 2. And if you had
Oh,
2 stops, I had to get a Schengen visa. And I didn't have a Schengen visa. So
very
they
nice.
bumped me off, and now I'm traveling coming Wednesday night or Thursday morning.
But your
I had
that
hoped to
flesh,
reach
the flesh has healed, is it?
it seems to be. I mean, I can squeeze all the way up to even past the top joint. It's just that
Good,
very part that hurts a bit.
good.
And my brother, I've been sending him the photos at every
So,
dressing
so,
change, and
so
he says it's pretty good.
while you almost lost a finger, you did not lose the sense of I. It did not become one finger less.
Yeah, I told my wife that I'm Binnam. He said, no, it's all been stuck back.
So, see, this is a nice learning, isn't it? One finger suddenly gone, but I remain, no?
True.
I remain. So
But
even if you suddenly grew one finger also, you still will be the same eye. So this is
true
see,
that.
every experience in life, if we can bring it back to this particular center and we start thinking, then you say, what is this that is pervading this entire thing? And he says, I pervade. I am consciousness. And I pervade this entire universe. I am in them. They are not in me. Correct?
So I wanted to actually something that occurred to me. The way I had always viewed statements like, you will get liberation and moksha, and you will go, and even the statement here he says, you return to this life if you don't, if you don't have shraddha in him. Um, and I realized that I'm misunderstanding this statement. It is not that you once you are liberated, you are not you anymore. So that you there, that you has vanished. Okay. And you are now become one with. So the body might continue to exist if you're still alive, jiva moksha mukti. The body will still continue to exist, will still do all its work and everything. What you're there's one statement I have seen made, that is this being bound. I think that is the correct way to look at it, that you are no longer bound. You are not, you may be in there, but you are free. You are absolutely
Correct. Which is why in Sri Thakur, he used to use the word of living like there's a fish in Bengal. It's called uh, I think the literal translation of the name would be mudfish. Mudfish, right? I don't know what's the scientific name for it. In Bengali, it is called pakal mach. Mach means fish. Pakal means that which is born in the mud. Punk is swamp, right? And you will see it inside, and it appears to have been completely covered with the mud in which it is swimming around. But if you can, it's a slippery thing. If you can catch it by its tail and you pull it out of the mud, not one bit of mud will be on it. Everything just falls out. And Thakur used to use that Pakal Mach as an example, and he used to keep saying, live in this life and play and wallow on it. Don't let anything stick to you. Don't let anything stick to you. That is the state in which we want to be. So, in that, therefore, when you say not bound, which is why I'm using this, what does even, let us look at the Upanishads. The Upanishad says, Eko Deva Sarva Bhuteshu Godaha Sarva Vyapi. Shvetashvatari Upanishad says this very categorically. Eko Deva Sarva Bhuteshu Godha. He is seated, hidden, Godha, deeply in Sarva Vyapi. Then Ishavasya Upanishad, very famous line in the beginning itself, it says, Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kinchit jagatyam jagat. This entire jagat is pervaded with this Isha. In Purusha Sukta we say, Purusham evedagam sarvam yad bhutam yatcha bhavyam. He pervades everything that has existed. Yad bhutam yatcha bhavyam. Everything that will be. Everything is pervaded by him. Now, how do I understand this? Let me look at it from the microcosmic perspective and see if we can understand it, right? Because let us go back to the my favorite, which is the, anybody knows which is the favorite analogy that I always use?
Water ocean.
Rasgulla.
No, Rasagulla is not an analogy. Rasagulla is my vasana. It is not an analogy. It is very much my vasana. The analogy of the snake and the rope, how could you have forgotten that?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, okay.
That is the Vedanta, basic.
Right. So now, what is the rope saying? That I am in the snake. Snake is not in me. Correct? Now, rope is saying that because the snake is nowhere there. But without the rope, the snake cannot exist. Right? Let's go back to the cinema screen, the movie screen. The movie screen is saying, all the movies are in me. I am in no movie. I am not affected by any of these movies. I am in no movie. Everything happens on me, but I am not in them. Every wave keeps crying and saying, I am the wave, I am the wave. The ocean can very categorically say, every wave, I am there, but the wave is not me. When we understand this at the macrocosmic level, how do we apply it in the microcosmic level? Very simple. Every time there is something that happens with you, whatever, good or bad. And I always say this, please understand, what happens is when something good is happening, we forget the fact that we have to also do manan over the good things. And we get into enjoying the good thing. And then later on, when it passes away, and then you say, oh, this good thing led to this sad thing. Right? You enjoy the company of your cat. When the cat passes away, then you say, oh, because the cat was there, ultimately, next, no more pets. I'm just quoting my mother. She actually said, we had a dog. The dog died. No more pets. The pet will cause sorrow. Right? Now, when the pet was there, what was it causing? It was causing joy. So the source of sorrow was the joy itself. So in this circle that you are caught, right? We have to remember that the manan has to be done even when we are experiencing something good. And you say experiencing something good, oh, I'm feeling very happy, I have eaten so many nice rasgullas. Right? Or I'm feeling very sad that the rasgullas were very hot and I couldn't eat them, and the person who brought them, he took them away. Either of these two happens. You look at your feeling and say, who is feeling? Where is this feeling existing? What is it existing on? What is the substratum on which this feeling is there? The moment you can question this, you have distanced yourself from that feeling itself. And Gurudev used to say, he would actually demonstrate physically. So he would pull out the plug and he would call all of us one by one and say, put on the switch, make the light burn. But put on the switch, let the light glow. And none of us obviously could do it. Right? I mean, we wouldn't know that he's put off the plug. He would be hiding it under his seat or somewhere. And we would all be desperately trying. And then somebody would strike somebody that, let us check the plug. And he would start laughing. And then he would say, if there is no energy in that, how will the bulb glow? So if you remove the energy from the so-called happiness, you remove the energy from the so-called grief or the anger, it will die down immediately. Because the energy is being provided by you, which is neither the body, nor the mind, nor the intellect. And therefore, chapter 9, verse 4 is a very, very important verse, where we have to remember that Maya tatamidam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina, unmanifested form. I am manifesting myself through so many things. See, one thing we have to understand here, there are different philosophies. One is a philosophy called the Parinamavada. Parinamavada means I'm slightly becoming technical here, but just to explain the difference of thinking. Parinama means consequence. So, for example, you take milk. Now, milk is a pure substance. It comes into contact with something acidic. It becomes curdled, and it becomes the paneer, or it becomes curd and whey, right? Or you put a little bit of yogurt into the milk. In the contact of that, it becomes dahi. The doodh becomes dahi. Dahi is the parinama from doodh because of the contact of something. We understand parinama now, right? Now, parinama means here, we have to understand this from the philosophical perspective, is that Ishvara transforms himself into this world. So God has transformed, God here, I mean, sorry to use the word God, but Ishvara has transformed into this world. Parinamavada. Then there is somebody who says, no, that is not right. You are mistaking one thing for the other. That is called Vivartavada. Rope and snake, or the shining of a shell for the silver, and so on and so forth. All the examples that we have used. And in the Vivartavada, it says that, oh, there is only the Brahman. This world doesn't exist. Now, Acharya does not take Vivartavada or Parinamavada. He takes a very, very conscious view, saying that as long as you identify with the body, mind, intellect, you will be stuck with the duality of this world. The world is real. The world is real. But the moment you have transformed or transgressed over the transcendent, over this particular duality, then you realize that it is only one. So at the Vyavaharika Satta, at the transactional reality, Parthoda and I will always be two different people. But at the Paramarthika Satta, at the transcendental reality, he and I are absolutely the same. Now, in between, there is a transitional phase which we need to pass through. How do we pass through that? By using this particular shloka. This chapter 9, you say, oh, okay, it is there, but it is not there. It is there, but it is not there. How is it there and not there? Because there is a relationship, yet there is no direct connect. For example, we just use the example of the screen on which the projection is happening. Now, is there a contact between the screen and the projection? No, there is no physical contact, right? I mean, okay, we'll not get into quantum theory and lights and photons and so on and so forth. But in general, there is no physical contact. Nothing is happening to the screen. And yet there is a relationship, because without the screen, the projection doesn't exist. Hence, here he says, Maya tatam idam sarvam. I have pervaded this entire universe. So when we look at this from that cosmic, macrocosmic view, and we apply it at the microcosmic view, we then are in the transitional phase from Vyavaharika Satta to Paramarthika Satta, and we are seeing, oh, everything that I'm seeing around me is nothing but mobilized, energized by that particular self. I have still not come to a stage where I'm saying it is Brahman. See, I have not yet understood that. You have to remember that we are in a dialogue. Krishna is slowly leading us onward. So, chapter 6, we have come to know who I am. I understand that I am the Jivatma, not the Bhogatma that I used to think myself to be. And from the Bhogatma to the Jivatma, I have transcended that journey. From the Jivatma, now I need to know what is the cosmos. And when I want to understand the cosmos, I now have started transforming my thinking, and therefore looking at this world, and I'm seeing, oh, the greenness of the green leaf is nothing but Atman. The light of the sun that is glowing so brightly is nothing but Brahman. The power of this voice that is coming out and going into your ears is nothing but Brahman. Now, this manan can happen when we understand Maya tatam nidam sarvam. So the world is still real, but it no longer is exactly what it is, what you see it to be. It has suddenly started morphing, and you are looking at it slightly differently. Yes, Raghuji.
Easy. I mean, it's not easy, but it's easier. See the Brahman in things that are beautiful.
Yes.
When you see a green leaf.
Yes.
But when you see a dead leaf also to see Brahman, and you see that is also Brahman, that is really a big challenge. To see dirt, to see filth, to see fecal matter and still see Brahman, that is very difficult.
So, why does that happen? Obviously, because we have still not transcended what is the function, primary function. Not Ragadvesha only, but also the primary function of the, yes, you are right, Ragadvesha. Raga being attachment and Dvesha being hatred or abhorrence or whatever, but also the judgment factor of your intellect. Right? And you are judging. This is good, this is bad. Now, in our mythology, we have stories, right? In the lore of Sabarimala, it is said that Sabari had sakshatkar of Brahma Swarup himself in the manifested form of Sri Ramchandra. Not only did she have Brahma Swarup sakshatkar, but she actually fed him with her own hands. And yet, she did not get moksha. Because she was tasting for the good. Ram, however, has no discrimination between jhuta and not jhuta. For him, anything that is offered is same. Hence, he says, oh, if it is jhuta, it is still a bear. If it is not jhuta, it is still a bear. I will eat it. He has no discrimination. That is why he is Brahman. Whereas Shabari, being human, has this discrimination. And hence it is said that she had to wait for another 1,000 years or whatever number of years so that she would then ultimately get moksha during the period of the avatar of Swami Ayyappa. So this, I mean, whether true or false, the lore teaches us that the distinction of good and bad is also something that can keep us in bound. You must read a book called Mejda. I think I have mentioned it earlier. Mejda is a book written by Yogananda Paramahamsa's younger brother. The youngest, in Bengali, there are classifications of dadas. So the immediate elder brother is called Choto Dada. Then there is Mejo Dada, Shejo Dada, and so on and so forth. You have many Dadas, all the categories of Dadas that go right up to Bodo Dada. And then if there is somebody older than Bodo Dada, there is also Dada Bhai. Right? All sorts of beautiful classifications of Dadas are there. In that, Mejda means the middle brother, the one who is above him. He has written a very interesting anecdote. They were walking down from the Dalhousie Square. At that point of time, it used to be called something else. I don't remember. It was some dighi. I don't remember what it was called. So from there, and they were going towards Shialda, which is a station inside the city. And there are a lot of eateries. There are a lot of eateries on this street called Bow Bazaar Street. And people would take their rice and cooked rice of last evening, and they would throw it out. And Yogananda was passing by, and this is pre his realization, pre his initiation into monkhood. And they were walking past, and the younger brother, he put his hands on his nose and he said, "What a awful smell." So Yogananda said, "What is awful about it? It is also a smell." Rose is also a smell. This is also a smell. Just ignore it. It is both are smells. Nothing to be disturbed about. He said, what do you mean? Can you eat this also? So he said, yes, I can eat it. And he just sat down over there and started eating that rotten rice. Now, that is a very, I mean, obviously, Yogananda Paramahansa was an advanced soul who came to teach and whatever. But Raghuji, you pointed out something very, very important, is that our predilection towards the aesthetic, our predilection towards what we believe to be good, what we believe to be right, and therefore we become judgmental, is one of the biggest drawbacks in the spiritual journey. Our emotions are relatively easier to control. Our body is the easiest to control, right? And which is why I keep saying, if you learn how to sit for 5 minutes, you will learn how to sit for 15 minutes within no time. Once you've done 5, you can go to 15 very fast. And from 15 to 45 is not a journey at all. But the mind keeps jumping. Slowly, slowly, as like Parthoda described a few days back, that the mind also starts settling down. But our intellect doesn't. Oh, this is not good, this is good, this is good, this is not good, this is good, this is not good, this is good. All the time. This continuous discrimination is something that we have to live with. I also might have told you about this story. There's this place called Panihati near Calcutta. And in Panihati, they have this huge Vaishnavite festival. And Sri Sri Thakur went to Panihati to attend this Vaishnavite festival. And the Bengal Vaishnavites, the cooking is done in mud pots which are unbaked wooden, not wood, sorry, earthenware pots which are unbaked. So once the cooking is done, the pots are thrown out and they melt in the water, in the rain, and they dissolve. So very ecologically correct and so on and so forth. The whole bunch of pots were thrown outside. And there was a man who was digging into those pots to pick up food and eating. And he was dressed in tatters. He had this stale food that was stuck on his body and so on and so forth. And somebody, who was with Thakur, threw a stone at him and said, "Hey, idhar se niklo." And Thakur stopped him and said, "Do you know who he is?" He said, "No, he is a Paramahamsa." Huh? Paramahamsa? How can he be a Paramahamsa? Now he's looking at Thakur and he's looking here. And he's saying, Paramahamsa should be like you. Right? Cleanly dressed, nicely trimmed beard, wearing a shawl and wearing chappals and so on and so forth. Right? Taking a bath 2 times a day. And this can't be a Paramahamsa. So he said, do you know the difference between a madman and a Paramahamsa? No, he's a madman. Hey, do you know the difference between a madman and a Paramahamsa? So the student obviously said, no, I don't. Then Sri Thakur says that the difference between a madman and a Paramahamsa is that a madman drinks Ganges water and water from the drain, not knowing them to be different. Whereas the Paramahamsa drinks water from the sewer and the Ganges, knowing them to be the same. Can you see what powerful story. That sense of discrimination, distinction between good and bad, it has to drop off at some point of time. Not that I'm saying that it should drop off immediately and we should start putting fecal matter all over our faces just because we want to prove that, oh, I can tolerate that. No, it's not about that. It's about mentally saying that, yes, I know that this is also Brahman. This is nothing but Maya tatam idam sarvam. That when we come to that stage. And therefore, I keep coming back to this point, saying that every shloka in the Bhagavad Gita is a shloka for Manan. And the deeper we go, the deeper Manan we do, the higher is our chances of allowing our manas, buddhi, and sharir to become still. And it's only when the waters are still that the reflection can happen. Otherwise, you will be in its fragments. Let's move on to the next shloka. Verse number 6. So verse number 6 is a explanation of verse number, verse number 5. Verse number 5 is a explanation of 6. Nacha matsthani bhutani, nacha matsthani bhutani, pashya me yogameshwaram, pashya me yogameshwaram, nacha matsthani bhutani, pashya me yogameshwaram, bhuta bhrinna cha bhutastho, bhuta bhrinna cha bhutastho, mamatma bhuta bhavanaha, mamatma bhuta bhavanaha, bhuta bhrinna cha bhutastho, mamatma bhuta bhavanaha, na cha matsthani bhutani, pashya me yogameshwaram, bhuta bhrinna cha bhutastho, mamatma bhuta bhavanaha, na never cha matsthani, abiding in me, staying in me, situated in me, bhutani, all things, anything that is made of the panchabhuta, pashya, see, me, my, yogam aishwaram, yogam here is power, aishwaram, divine, my yogam, my divine power, bhuta brit, bhuta brit is means the sustainer, brit to those jo bharta hai, he who fills up, the sustainer of all things, sustainer of all things, of all bhutas. Na, never, cha, yet, bhutastha, stays in, mama, my, atma, self, bhuta bhavanaha, bhuta bhavanaha, the creator of all things. So, he says, these things do not stay in me. Here is this wonderful mystery of my divine energy. Right? In the earlier shlokas, we have seen that that he's already declared that mama maya duratyaya. So he says, I am the creator and sustainer of all things that are happening around you, but I am not influenced by them or by the material nature of theirs. It's basically an explanation of what we just now learned. Maya tatamidam sarvam. So today, yes, Ravuji.
In just the previous verse, he says, all beings exist in me. And now he says, and yet the beings do not exist in me. I think there is something, some deep manam required for
what he's saying here, they are in me, meaning they do not stay. Here he is saying they do not stay inside me. Small difference here. They are in me here, meaning they are, okay, again, let me put it like this. Let's use the same example, rope and snake, right? So if we use the rope and snake, where is the snake? In the rope. The snake is in the rope, right? Because if the rope is not there, there is no snake. The snake is in the rope. But does it stay? Is the snake actually inside the rope? No. So therefore he says, it is in me, but it is not inside me. I am not affected by it. Let us put it like this. So here is the contextual meaning here. You have to say that, understand that it is about being affected. And therefore he's very clearly saying later on that I am not affected by them. Bhuta bhavanaha, I am the creator. They are staying. So here he says that it is a very interesting mystery. Now, it is not really a mystery because we see that Brahman, the rope, is projecting through Maya, which he has explained in chapter 7 earlier, that through Maya, he is projecting, hiding himself and projecting his something different. Hence, he says here that they don't stay inside me. They are not inside me. So there is no dichotomy here. It's not that he's saying something different. Or at least that's how I don't understand it. Yes, yes, Parthada.
I was looking.
Sorry, Parthada races. Yeah.
I think that if we look at it this me is synonymous to the Brahman. I think this
Mhm.
confusion goes. Now
You're right.
you let us go back to your the screen of the movie.
Mhm.
So all beings exist in me means without the screen there will be no movie. So
Mhm.
they exist in the screen. When
Mhm.
you are watching the movie, they exist in the screen. But
Mhm.
do those things exist, dwell in the screen? No. So I think the moment we have that analogy in mind, no, this contradiction goes.
Thank you. Very, very beautifully explained. Yeah, Raghuji, you wanted to say
In fact,
add something?
another analogy I was thinking just as I was reading this is, see, I go on a trip and I stay at a hotel. I have no attachment to that hotel. But when I come home, it is my house, my bed. There's an attachment to it.
Mhm.
Like I
Mhm.
dwell in my house. I don't dwell in the hotel. It's there, okay, one day and the tomorrow another hotel, there is no attachment. And while if I get really realized that I should not even have attachment in my house, it's like that Sufi saint, I
I
should
was
be like
just
that. But
reminded. I was just reminded of exactly of that Nasiruddin Hoja's story, that Mullah Nasiruddin, where the story of having no furniture.
yeah.
Aji, मीना जी आपको कुछ पूछना है क्या?
मैं जो समझ पा रही हूँ ये जो सारा चल रहा है अपना डिस्कशन इसमें कि फिल्म का जो स्क्रीन है वो स्थिर है ना, एकदम स्थायी रूप से लगा हुआ है, उस पर जो भी प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे हैं वो हमको विजिबल हो रहा है और उससे हम अटैच्ड हो रहे हैं। ठीक इसी प्रकार से ब्रह्मन जो है वो अपनी जगह वैसे ही स्थिर हैं और उनके ये जो उनकी शक्तियां हैं, उनका जो एक वो रूप है, उनकी माया है, उसके वशीभूत होकर के हम ये सब करते हैं और उसको ही हम वास्तविक स्वरूप समझ लेते हैं। लेकिन वास्तविकता तो यही है कि उनके ऊपर कोई असर नहीं होता है, इसीलिए वो हम में तो है लेकिन हम उनमें नहीं है, यानी हमारी किसी भी क्रिया प्रतिक्रिया से उनके ऊपर कोई असर नहीं होता है, तो वो तो
Perfect.
अपनी जगह स्थिर ही।
मगर हम भी
Right?
जो क्रिया प्रतिक्रिया, वेरी गुड, वेरी नाइसली सेड, बट ये समझना है कि हम जो क्रिया प्रतिक्रिया कर रहे हैं वो भी एनर्जाइज्ड है, मगर उनसे, उन्हीं की एनर्जी से ये चल रहा है, राइट?
जी जी
तो वेरी वेरी गुड डिस्कशन, actually very beautifully. I don't know if you all have read Gurudev's translation and commentary on the Gita. It is easily available. I think it's now a free Kindle download. If you want to study, you can look at that and you can study also. Is that he uses another analogy. He calls it the ghost in the post. He has an analogy called ghost in the post. So you see a lamppost or you see a fire hydrant and there is fog, and then you see you feel that there is some being standing over there. Right? Now, what very interestingly, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa used a similar analogy at some point of time where he talked about a large stone on the crossroads. And the policeman looks at it and says, oh, this must be a thief. And the thief looks at it and he says, oh, this must be a policeman. Right? Why? Because we create our own world outside. We create our own world outside. The reality of the world is very different. And that reality is what we are going to try and find out through this dialogue of Sri Krishna's. That is what this whole journey is about. I'm going to stop here today for the want of a bit of time. I have to catch a flight. And I have to rush to the airport from here immediately. And I'll obviously put it on the group, but tomorrow, because I'm traveling, we will not have the Aparokshanupati session. So sorry for that. Right, let us end for today.
Sir, next Sunday, I should, inshallah, as they say, I should be in the US, and I'll be at the time of the class. I might be traveling, so I mean I'll miss the Gita class, but hopefully the Monday next Aparoksha Nubudhi I should hopefully catch.
Sure. Okay. Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.